A very good morning to everyone. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Seems to be a time when shocking things, not devastating things, but shocking things are coming into everybody's life and wondering why. So I did a little looking, and the first thing that Jesus would teach his students would be about awakening. So if you feel you don't know everything about awakening, you may want to perk your ears up and do some discovering inside yourself. So let's say hello to Carol and Anik, Cavell, and Paul. Thank you for coming again, and Barbara. All right, Barbara Ward, good morning. Well, I had an interesting weekend. That's what I can say. So let's do our mantra together. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. And let's call Mother and Father's energy to come down and to sit within your heart. And I want you to sit there for a moment as we're going to talk about awakening and see what having their energy come down, for whether you feel it or not yet, it is coming into your heart. And that is the task, is can you feel that as you breathe? Can you allow that awakening of love, respect, honor, mother, father? There's so many descriptive words we can use to the fact that you're allowing light, if it has never been there, or if it's been there for a long time, to bring you an understanding of what it really means. Okay? You have to allow your mind to contemplate this. So let's take the energy of the mind down into the heart, the true mind. For as you grow and you evolve, your mind becomes your heart. And that's when all the things that tossle back and forth begin to stop, and your heart becomes an awareness of the awakening that you're moving through. For here's the first truth I want you to look at. Nothing that occurs to disturb you, to affect you, comes from outside of you. It comes from inside. Now, I will repeat that for all of you. Those things that disturb you do not come from outside of you. Another person, another incident, another company, whatever it is. It's from inside yourself. That place where we find difficulty wanting to go in and discover and weed through the weeds and find out, well, exactly what is that? Most of the world doesn't understand this statement, that nothing you experience is caused by anything outside of you. You experience only the effects of your own choices. Only experience the effects of your own choices. So let me see if I can give you an example of one. There may be many things that you have a fear about or have already decided could never happen. But if you can understand that thought has come from outside of yourself, whether what you've learned from people or places you've gone, maybe people that you've studied with, and now you don't even try. You don't have courage to, well, let me just see what happens. Because it would be different. I know for myself, there's things that I can't imagine would ever happen, and yet they have. because I don't hold on to that experience for long. I set it away. In my meditation, I just let it go, and what comes is the truth. I, like you, can do anything that I choose to do. Now, guaranteed. That can be things of light, things of dark. And it's a process in life. It's why we are here on school earth, is to have that opportunity, how much we give the power to our side that is not awakened. And when we begin to learn more and more to reach to the awakened part, who has an awakened consciousness, and which is totally always growing. So, what do you think about this? I thought it was a very good question to contemplate as we're here of a community of growing and understanding why we are, in our perception how we are, and what other people might perceive by how we act and integrate our world within us. Are you one that's afraid? Are you one who defines yourself by what other people say? Are you searching for yourself and have a wall that you can't get through to really discover what there is behind that? These are all examples of you having the courage to find out, to discover. When you make a choice of positivity to do something that you haven't done, what does it mean? You know, certainly my husband and I, we've been to Disney before, but years ago when we took my grandson, we're going to go again in a couple of weeks when we get back from Pennsylvania, just so the child within us can see and laugh and see unique things that you don't see in a normal day. And how about that? How do you do that? Or are you on the treadmill, every day's the same, da-da-da-da-da? Paul says he likes the saying, school, earth. Well, it really is the truth. 101, there's a point where you go to college and then the university and finally to mastery. And thank you, Barbara. Wishing us all a blessed week. Yes. And we think we have no control over our outer world. And yet, what I've said many times, and maybe in this aspect it'll really hit home, the earth lies within you. Whether or not you hold peace and love, or fear and trauma and war, is dependent upon you. What do you believe? And the more you grow, the more those things are negated in power and in separation. Because the earth within you is truly a doorway of peace. Let's see. Yes. Why is Disney so magical? Because it does that. It takes us from who we are and allows us to begin to feel a part of us that's kind of shut down every day. You know, it's not every day that you think about all the curious things that shows itself there. And that's the gift of Disney. He's wanted everyone to discover the child within them and to let them be happy. So, are people here with me today happy every moment? Because that's your heritage. That's what you want to generate and have a freedom to be able to have. Happiness versus sadness or disappointment or where do I go? What do I do? And Barbara says her joy is looking at the little kids play, their laughter, their curiosity, and their innocence. And that's exactly my point, Barbara. We have to do the part where that becomes us, not just a part of us as a little child. Allow the adult to be comfortable trusting the child within you also. Because it's the first one to get set on a chair, be quiet, behave, and we no longer know what behaving means in our world. And what it means is the desire to awaken, to know a greater love, to know a greater peace and harmony, and begin to trust that you have the ability to make choices to have that happen. Very good. Well, I've also been to Disneyland out in California, and they're very different. The feeling's very different. It's an older energy there, almost a greater behavioral difference in to stand this way, walk this way, do this, and go here and do that. But what if you just go in and just let your heart guide you? That's the heart we want to find, Good morning, Myra. And so we're going to go and see what happens, where we're going to go, because there's not going to be a child with us to have that determination. Certainly when we took our grandson, it's what he wanted to do. All right. Glad you're here, Lauren. Good morning. So, you have to understand that what determines your life is what you choose to put your attention on. Certainly you can say to me, well, this is a problem. If I don't put attention on it, then what happens? I'm going to say to you, you want to give it love. It's different. When you give attention on something, it means like you're solving it, unraveling it. I'm not saying that's bad, but when you get to the point where you can surrender and begin to trust whatever comes, I know that's a big word, isn't it? But that's where awakening is. And know that whatever comes is going to be for the highest and best good of you. Just like we all say, well, give it to God. And I assume that must be difficult for those of you who haven't yet done it enough or allowed God into your life to know that it may not look what you want, but understand that the part of you that's yearning or desiring, or worse word I think you can use is wanting, and it's not like that. And yet, to take your feet and walk a different way could mean the greatest love in your heart might find you, or the greatest career that you're excellent at would be there and the door would open. It's like giving up having the mind be in control and allowing your heart to be that part of you which begins to awaken, and it beats. And it sings to you in a tone. And it opens a door and says, come on in. It's not raining, it's not storming, it's peaceful here. And when you can begin to, good morning, Lauren. If I come someone who's set in the point of view and is triggered, that's right. You can choose to stay away. The biggest thing is always to know you are at choice. After you do a large healing and you've changed the pattern can come back if you choose to, or you can choose to respond a different way. That's one of the biggest truths about healing. You go through it, you find out why it's there, release it, unravel it, but the next day you could wake up and just be the same, or you can choose to perceive the world differently and take different steps forward. Make a few different phone calls, however you want to do it. Anyone else have thoughts? And if you don't begin to choose to awaken and be at peace, you will have no peace. These are teachings from Jesus, who says, if you desire to be in peace, then you must desire to let it go and to trust. And that's his biggest lesson. I believe he taught all of us. He knew what was coming for him, but he also chose to relax and to let it go. because it was a great lesson not only for his consciousness, but for the part of him who is alive within all of us. Trust in God, let go. And I can remember he said, I am with my Father now. Don't worry. Yes, and we can say we are with Mother and Father within our hearts, and there's no need to worry. Tomorrow will come. There'll be a choice of happiness and freedom and excitement to where you can possibly go. So Paul says, yes, the pets do go. They go to Venus. Venus is where pets who've passed go, and I have visited them on Venus, and they're very happy, and many will come back to the same family, but look different. So if you have a dog that's passed and then you choose to get another, many times it will be the same essence that will come into that energy. So while I was there, they took me for a ride in a vehicle, a space vehicle, I guess you could say. But what was very interesting is when you were inside that and looking out, there were no walls. Think about that. You could just like reach out and touch outside, but if you looked at the vehicle, there were limitations. So there's a lot of, in the experience of the universe, places that don't have limitations, which is extremely high, I would say, in our world. And that's what we're all working together to try to eliminate, is the choices that we have are vast and many. And it is how you hold your heart and bring your mind. You know, everyone thinks upon the earth. So hear my difference, that it's a great thing to have a great mind. But a great mind without a heart doesn't get you where you're going, doesn't help you find what you have to do. You can have a great mind, and when it's now moved into your heart, wonderment comes. It's a whole different experience of life. So let me see what's coming here as questions. Mm-hmm. Marby, good morning. So, Paul, that's what I say about pets going to heaven. They do. And certainly, if you have one and it hasn't reincarnated, it'll be right there when you do make your walk to heaven. And that is what happens, whoever it is there is a walk up to the heaven. And I know people who are awake who walk their mother or father or family up to the heaven, and then there's a mass of people there waiting for them. So it's all a very blissful thing. And I know Doug's mother told us she could see the angels that were in her room, and she wondered what was taking them so long. What were they waiting for? So, yes, it's not a terrible thing. For an individual experience is a wonderful thing. Being free, there's not the restrictions that we have here, because here we have come to heal karma. Here we have come to grow, to first thing, to awaken that there is something beyond what is shown itself in houses and cars, and there is something deep inside your heart that's calling to you, where you don't come here without that first motion within your heart to support you. All right. So it's basically that the way of the heart is not the way of the intellect. Two different things. Certainly, it can be wonderful to be intelligent and to have gotten straight A's. But at some point, there's a part of yourself inside your heart that's going to speak to you and bring love into it. Just bring love into it. There's no mistake. Whatever you learned is what you've learned. But how you go about to make it be an experience for you and a happy life can be totally different than what you thought 4 years ago, you see. Can be totally different. I have the best job there is. I work for God every day. Literally. Money that comes to me is from Him. My husband and I, we've lived this way for 30 years is coming up. And we're very happy with it. We've never been forgotten. I spoke to God. We went, after COVID, a lot of people didn't go to churches because that's where a lot of people got ill. So we went to the church we were going to. To me, any church that has all the prayers of the people is a wonderful place to sit. And I could see the angels dropping rose petals down to everyone, giving them blessings. Certainly the people didn't know. But it's like just let the tears roll and the understanding of the magnitude of what God does and touches other people. So we were there, and while my husband and I are very in alignment, there's certain things we see differently, and that's what makes things interesting. So he saw some of the things in his way, and I see things in my way. So that's another lesson for everyone to learn if you're in a relationship. Doesn't mean the other person's is wrong. It just means that's their way, and that's their relationship with God. And certainly the great gift of unity came and filled both of us yesterday to sit. And as we looked around, there were quite a few couples. And what a gift. Sad piece was the minister who was there before all this happened wasn't who was there yesterday. So I sent him missing him, and I have no idea what happened. But it was a beautiful choir. Their voice was certainly of God, and in those higher notes that rang through, and there was 11 pipes, 11 energies of pipes of their organ. And it was beautiful, and it took me home inside myself. So what is it all about? That is what it's about. Is being able to feel that truth that's alive deep within you, and to not have any question on how you find that. You simply close your eyes and settle down within your heart and ask Mother and Father to come be with you. And I heard God's voice yesterday saying, you see, you're never alone. I can take you anywhere and you will know I am with you, but you are with them. It was very powerful when, see, it was a powerful moment for God to show me as His vessel. Even just being there yesterday, the light was touching people. I had one lady come up and she touched my back. She says, oh, you're just so warm. It was very cold in the church. People were coming up to us and they had to touch me. Or even for Doug, it was just, his words were so truthful that in one moment of no one really knowing us, we used to go with friends and we noticed they weren't there either. But nobody knew us. And what I loved the most is when the reverend that was there always remembered my name. And certainly this man had never met me, this priest, reverend, I don't know what they call them. You can see it. Well, I go very innocent without requirements. But I could see his eyes saw me. Have you ever thought about that? Do people see you? Do they understand who you are? And I still walked away with the gift that whoever is in that church is still an open door for me to feel my heart. And certainly God came through very clear yesterday. It's not a sin to not go to a church in my heart. Remember, other people have other rules. I believe church is a personal thing. Like I said, I love going to any type of church without the name of the kind doesn't mean much to me because it has a lot of God's prayers in them. And that just flows down over me and enriches me of that which is alive in our world. And so if you find that inside your heart for yourself, like that's been, I don't even know how long COVID was, but my faith hasn't left. It's only increased. Increased. So, and when I was back home, which we'll be going next week, we go to Padre Pio's large church they have there, and we just sit. And so powerful, for he was the healer. And the lady who was in charge, they have his gloves that he wore, like his hands bled like Christ. And so she would bring them to me, and I would sit with my hand on those actual gloves. So can't wait to get there either. It's places where God is alive, is in the thought process, in the awakening process, lives. And that's what you want to bring into you, not another person, not any of that, which is a lot and thriving in this world. It's about your heart and what it believes and how it feels and the upliftment. And then you begin to look at the world and see and ask God, show me. What are you showing me? Yesterday it showed me his church, his angels that were bringing blessings down over the entire church. The sound and the way it was built just rang of the higher essence of the angels singing. It was a lot. It was, powerful. So we're talking about awakening today, and it's a powerful thing to be awakened and to kind of no longer walk through a day with shutters over your eyes or shutters over your heart. It's like, wow, that's amazing. You know, we live like 10 minutes from the ocean. We rarely go there. But for me right now, that's not what gets my body going. It's about people, you know, observing people, seeing people, feeling what's going on in the world. A lot of people will say, don't watch the news, don't pay attention. But that's been part of my training is, excuse me a minute, to be aware so I can help redirect some of the light and the understanding. So, questions, anybody? Are you feeling the light of that church yesterday? And I really can't tell you what kind it was. My friends, when we moved here, took us, and we enjoyed it. And certainly the father, the minister, whoever he was, and I had words without speaking. And we enjoyed there to go. And now, see, yesterday he wasn't there, but someone in his place was, and was just as profoundly awakened in his heart that was able to reach mine. So, very good. Oh, Barbara, I'm sure that I would love to be able to go to Europe and feel the history and the energy. I can do a lot of that from here and moving through consciousness. But I can imagine that it was just how much longer those prayers have been within those homes. It's good to love history. You know, history repeats itself. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take people today to get that. And we have to love and support them, or us, whoever it is, as we're in a real shift in our world. And I'm assured that it's going to get better and that there will be a shift. So, what do shifts come? Because it means we've healed and we're ready to try it in a different way. So, we're all in that boat together. And it'll all be fine. Any other questions? Let's remember that your heart is that which feels all things. It embraces all things. It trusts all things. You want to get to know your heart. Have you ever heard that people who take really good care of the physical body then drop dead? Well, it's because they had emotional issues in their heart that were never healed. Having a strong heart isn't just about exercising and doing those things. It's about how you live life, what means something to you, and how you interact and handle that. Truly, contemplate my words today, because if you're that exerciser, then add some meditation and devotion to however you want to see it, whether it's the archangels or mother, father, or whatever, a place to be able to put a blanket of light over you and sleep soundly. Very interesting. For myself, I got into a habit when I was ill recently here, breathing through my mouth. So my doctor said to me, my naturopath, you need to get the tape for your mouth. I go, well, what? I said, that's going to seem a little, bring up some old past things, I would think. She said, good, then heal them. So I ordered this mouth tape, and it's a little X that you put over your lips, so you're forced to keep your mouth closed. Because I was literally dehydrating from every night, breathing out my mouth, and maybe you don't realize that's happening. And what it does is quiets you in a different way. And they'll even say, enjoy dreaming. Because perhaps a lot of people don't dream because they're not having that rotation of the oxygen within their system. So first night I felt it a little bit like this is kind of uncomfortable. Interesting thing today, I was aware I slept almost all night. But when I woke up, the X was gone. We haven't found it yet. So I will use it again tonight, but it was very interesting. I did have a good night's sleep, but I did put the X on when I fell asleep, but I don't know where it went. I know I didn't need it. It's a piece of, um, and it's a piece of plastic that has no ability to affect anybody. It's totally clear of any allergy. So I know my life sounds so exciting, doesn't it? But I gotta say, there's something to it. And yeah. So if you're someone who breathes with your mouth open, it's on the internet, medical mouth tape. And they're little X's. They're about that big. Oh, it's always so hard for me to. There you go. It's like that little X. And it tapes them together. Certainly you can just lift it off because apparently at some point that's what happened. But, well, good, Paul, and you're still here. Perhaps even a similar thing to make it all work better. We have to surrender to where we may have resistance and we're being told you must do this. Even when my naturopath doing all this, I'm like, well, I'm not sure I want to do that. Well, then you don't have to, but then you won't feel as good. Because I've ate the same thing every meal for 6 months. How hard would that be for you to do? So here's the thing. I got on a scale yesterday. I've lost 54 pounds. Not thinking how much weight I was losing. I knew I looked different, but 54 pounds. So I may continue. I'm not sure yet, because choice is mine. And I think the choice of going back to all the pain is not one I want to make. Not just yet, anyway. And to let my colon and all that to feel much better. Thank you, Paul. Very good. Does anyone else have a question? Getting to be that time. I kind of rattled on today. Oh, here's a few words that I just looked down that Jesus has. The aspect of the mind was never intended or designed to be your master. Think about that. And the heart is a participant. Your unity. Very cool. And certainly the word control comes up here, which not very many people I meet that don't have to work on control within themselves about something. And doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means it's still healing that needs to be done. It's still moving from here and growing. So, I guess Marby is saying she's enjoyed today. Well, I am, and I started walking. And it's never been during my 30 years with Doug that I used to be a tennis player. I played 9 times a week. Was on the Middle States team. We won. That's who I am. I used to teach dance. I was very disciplined from learning dance from early age, and I ran 3 different studios. So that's in there somewhere. So when my husband was thinking he was doing a kind thing, coming and walking with me, he didn't realize it was going to be so much or so many times. I said, so now you've met the determined part of me. Yes, and he has even started to eat the little meal I eat, and he looks different too. So perhaps we live in a world that we give up what our own body's saying to us and listening to it because we want to do the thrills of everyone else. And I got to say to you, even seeing a pizza doesn't do it for me. And we're all different, and it's all going to be a different path. But I am very proud of myself that I still question how I even got on this whole journey. But I guess it was a God thing, and it wanted me to have this resolution to help people. Discipline is not a bad word. I was also very disciplined in my 35 years I learned so many things, but I also did healing on myself. That's why I can sit here today. Been there, done that. And it just keeps growing and defining itself in so many ways. There's so many things I do now, it's hard to even, well, what do you do? Well, how long do you have? And of course, I always have to excel the best I can at everything. Is that ego? Perhaps there was a time, but not now. It's out of love and honoring and respecting God for who He is, to wanting to be as clear as I can anytime I go to bring any of the masters or angels through. And most importantly for me. All right. No more questions? I want to say to you, next week I am traveling home to see my grandson and other friends, and my daughter's going to come up. She lives in Baltimore. Thank you, Cavell. And so I'm going to change what I do for those couple days because we're flying out next Wednesday on the 13th. So Monday next week, I will do your messages. And Tuesday and Wednesday, I won't be here. And I won't be back until Wednesday the next week because we're coming home at the beginning of the week. But I'll be here for tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm just trying to let you start to have it in your head. I'm going home. It's been 5 years. And it's interesting how it's different already before I get there on what people, it's just hard to explain. It's just very different. So we're flying up and we'll have a car, and certainly we'll get out to Padre Pio's and some other places, but most importantly, I'll get to hug my grandson and his mother and his little brother and friends that I have there. You know who you are. And I'll see Carol, who's here every day. And it's going to be great. I'm trying to decide how much warm clothes I have to take because it's colder up there, and I'm no longer used to it now that I'm a Florida baby, you know. So that's wonderful, Barbara. Yes, I haven't gotten there yet. What am I eating? I'm eating sweet potato. Found out during the process there are 17 good things sweet potatoes do for you. And I'm not allowed to white potato. If you can figure that one out. And I started with rice, but somehow with the way we cook rice, the inside still has a little bit of a kernel, which was a problem. So now I have penny pasta, maybe 6 or 7 pieces of it. And I can have 3 ounces of either fish or meat. I do not like the chicken. Chicken doesn't taste well for me, so those are the 2 choices I have. And we get sockeye salmon, so it's very inexpensive here. I don't know. The sockeye salmon is the same price as hamburger. So yeah. Well, now I'll miss you all, but it's time. I've been here, and now that I'm feeling better, I'll start probably doing expos and different things again. So I eat applesauce too every day when I want it. It's not a given. So many blessings to everyone. Contemplate awakening. If I have done nothing but for you to look at that, then I have achieved my goal. So first, we awaken. Blessings to all of you. See you tomorrow for the messages. Bye-bye.